Charlie Chaplin stands in the boxing ring constructed on stage 2 of his Hollywood studio, adjusting his leather boxing gloves while cinematographer Roland Totheroh positions the camera for the crucial scene. Director Frank Capra, guest directing this sequence, leans over the ring ropes and declares with theatrical intensity, "Charlie, forget the comedy for a moment. I need you to box for real. The audience has to believe you're actually fighting for your life." What unfolds over the next 3 hours and 42 minutes of filming doesn't just create one of cinema's greatest boxing scenes. It proves that true physical comedy requires genuine athletic skill, absolute commitment to dangerous stunts, and the courage to blur the line between performance and reality. Charlie Chaplin Studios, Hollywood, November 14, 1930. Friday afternoon, 2:15. The boxing ring dominates stage 2, complete with regulation ropes, canvas flooring, and overhead lighting that creates dramatic shadows perfect for cinematography. This is the climactic sequence of City Lights, where the Little Tramp must survive a boxing match to win money for the blind flower girl's surgery. Charlie, at 41, has spent months preparing for this scene through rigorous physical training. Unlike many actors who rely on stunt doubles, Charlie insists on performing his own athletic sequences to maintain the visual integrity of his character. The tramp's movements must remain consistent, whether he's walking down the street or dodging punches in a boxing ring. Frank Capra, borrowed from Columbia Pictures specifically for his expertise in directing realistic fight scenes, understands that comedy boxing requires different techniques than dramatic boxing. The audience must simultaneously laugh at the tramp's incompetence and believe in the genuine physical danger he faces. "Charlie," Capra explains during the pre-filming briefing, "the comedy comes from your character's fear and desperation, not from fake punches or obviously staged falls. You need to move like someone who's actually being hunted by a real boxer." Charlie's opponent for the scene is Hank Mann, a veteran comedy actor who also happens to be an experienced amateur boxer. At 6'2" and 190 pounds, Mann towers over Charlie's 5'7", 140-pound frame, creating the physical mismatch essential to the scene's humor. "Hank," Charlie says during their rehearsal, "I need you to actually try to hit me. Not hard enough to cause injury, but with enough commitment that my dodging and weaving looks genuine." "Are you sure about that, Charlie? Real boxing, even at half speed, can be unpredictable. You could get hurt." "The scene requires real physical stakes. If I'm not in actual danger, the comedy won't work. The audience has to feel the tramp's desperation." This decision reflects Charlie's fundamental approach to physical comedy. Unlike performers who rely on exaggerated gestures and obviously fake situations, Charlie believes that humor emerges from authentic human behavior under extreme circumstances. The tramp's comedy comes from his dignity and resourcefulness when facing genuine challenges. Roland Totheroh, Charlie's longtime cinematographer, positions 3 cameras at different angles to capture the action without interruption. In 1930, film stock is expensive and retakes are costly, so complex sequences must be planned meticulously to minimize waste. "Roland," Charlie instructs, "I need you to follow the action naturally. Don't anticipate my movements or try to make the shots look pretty. Capture whatever actually happens, including mistakes or unexpected moments." "That's risky, Charlie. If something goes wrong during the take, we might not have proper coverage. Then we'll use what we get. Authenticity matters more than perfect cinematography." As filming begins, Charlie demonstrates why he's considered one of cinema's greatest physical performers. His boxing technique is obviously amateur, but his footwork, timing, and spatial awareness rival those of professional athletes. The scene requires Charlie to survive 3 rounds against Mann's character while accidentally knocking him out through a series of coincidences. Charlie must appear incompetent while executing incredibly precise physical choreography that creates the appearance of lucky accidents. "Action," Capra calls, and Mann immediately begins stalking Charlie around the ring with genuine boxing aggression. Charlie's response is a masterclass in controlled panic. He ducks, weaves, and scrambles away from Man's punches with movements that look desperate but are actually calculated to position him for the scene's comedy beats. The first lucky knockout occurs when Charlie ducks a punch, causing Man to swing over his head and lose his balance. As Man stumbles, Charlie accidentally elbows him in the solar plexus, a move that requires precise timing to look accidental while ensuring Man can take the impact safely.
Cut, Capri yells. Perfect. But Charlie, that elbow was dangerously close to being a real knockout. Are you sure you want to continue at this intensity? Charlie, breathing heavily and sweating despite the cool studio air, nods emphatically. The danger is what makes it funny. If there's no risk, there's no comedy. They reset for the second round, which features Charlie hiding behind the referee while Mon tries to reach him. This sequence requires Charlie to time his movements precisely with both the referee's position and Mon's attacks, creating a three-person dance that looks chaotic but follows strict choreographic principles. The most challenging moment comes when Charlie must duck under a punch while simultaneously grabbing the ring ropes to avoid falling. The timing window is less than half a second. Too early and Mon's punch will miss obviously. Too late and Charlie will be genuinely hit. On the fifth take, Charlie's timing is perfect, but the maneuver tears his boxing shorts and leaves a rope burn on his arm. "Charlie, you're bleeding," Assistant Director Harry Crocker observes. "It's minor. Keep filming." The final sequence requires Charlie to accidentally knock out Mon while attempting to surrender. Charlie must throw a punch that he intends to miss, but Mon must move into its path at exactly the right moment to make the knockout look accidental. This stunt is genuinely dangerous. If Mon's timing is wrong, he could be seriously injured. If Charlie's punch placement is inaccurate, he could either miss completely, ruining the comedy, or hit Mon harder than intended. They rehearsed the moment 8 times at slow speed before attempting it at full performance velocity. "Remember," Charlie tells Mon during their final rehearsal, "you control whether you get hurt. I'm throwing the punch exactly where we practiced, but you have to move into position precisely when we rehearsed." "Got it. But Charlie, what if something goes wrong?" "Then we'll deal with it. But nothing will go wrong if we trust our preparation and execute exactly as practiced." The final take requires perfect synchronization between Charlie's fake punch, Mon's fall, the referee's reaction, and the 3 cameras capturing different angles. Any mistake will ruin not just the take, but potentially the entire scene's believability. Action. Charlie begins the sequence by raising his hands in surrender, but Mon continues advancing aggressively. Charlie throws what appears to be a desperate, wild punch that he clearly intends to miss, but Mon steps directly into its path at the exact moment Charlie's glove would naturally arrive. The impact looks devastating, but is actually a carefully choreographed collision that allows Mon to control how he receives the force. He falls dramatically while Charlie stares in shocked amazement at his apparently accidental knockout punch. Cut. Printed. The entire crew erupts in applause. They've just witnessed the creation of what will become one of cinema's most famous comedy sequences, achieved through genuine athletic performance rather than camera tricks or editing manipulation. But the scene's success comes at a physical cost. Charlie has rope burns on his arms, bruises on his ribs, and a strained shoulder muscle from the constant ducking and weaving. Mon has a sore jaw from the final punch, despite its careful choreography. "Charlie," Dr. Cecil Reynolds, the studio's on-call physician, says while examining Charlie's injuries, "you've got to be more careful. These stunts are putting real stress on your body." The audience deserves authentic performance. If I'm not willing to take real physical risks, why should they care about the tramp's fictional dangers? This philosophy distinguishes Charlie's approach to comedy from most of his contemporaries. While other comedians rely on exaggerated reactions to obviously fake situations, Charlie creates humor through authentic human responses to genuine physical challenges. Years later, when stuntmen become more common in Hollywood, Charlie continues insisting on performing his own athletic sequences. He understands that the Tramp's visual consistency requires the same performer to execute all the character's movements regardless of difficulty or danger.
The difference between good physical comedy and great physical comedy, Charlie explains to film students in a 1965 interview, is the difference between pretending to be in danger and actually being in danger while maintaining your character's dignity. The boxing sequence from City Lights demonstrates this principle perfectly. The comedy emerges not from fake punches or staged falls, but from the Tramp's authentic terror combined with his unwillingness to abandon his essential decency even while fighting for survival. The scene's success also validates Charlie's belief that audiences can distinguish between genuine physical performance and obvious fakery. The boxing match works because viewers unconsciously recognize that Charlie is actually dodging real punches and genuinely risking injury. This commitment to authentic physical performance becomes a hallmark of Charlie's filmmaking philosophy. Whether the Tramp is walking a tightrope, working on an assembly line, or dancing with dinner rolls, Charlie ensures that every movement reflects genuine physical skill rather than cinematic illusion. The 3 hours and 42 minutes they spent filming the boxing scene established new standards for comedy action sequences. Rather than relying on editing to create excitement, Charlie proved that sustained physical performance could generate both laughter and suspense simultaneously. Frank Capra, reflecting on the experience, later wrote, "Charlie Chaplin showed me that the best comedy directors don't create humor through camera tricks, they capture it through a performer's willingness to commit completely to dangerous, demanding physical performance." The boxing ring was dismantled after filming, but the principles demonstrated that day, authentic physical commitment, precise choreography, and genuine risk-taking, continued to influence Charlie's approach to every subsequent action sequence in his films. When City Lights premiered in 1931, critics immediately recognized the boxing scene as a masterpiece of physical comedy. But they couldn't have known that its effectiveness came from Charlie's decision to blur the line between performance and reality, creating laughter through genuine athletic achievement rather than cinematic illusion.